Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the QueendomNation show where all things are royal and loyal. I'm your host, Queen Chariel. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful week. I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day to all the mothers that are listening to this show today, to the QueendomNation show. Hope you guys had a great Mother's Day. I hope everything worked in your favor. And for those of you that did not have a mother, I hope you found some way to celebrate Mother's Day and to make it a wonderful day and a wonderful experience for you. I had a great Mother's Day. I just want to say, my man, he cooked for me, bought me nice, beautiful flowers. We had the family over, had a big old cookout with the family, and it was great. Everybody outside having a good time. Had the grandkids over, had them a little swimming pool outside, so they got to play out in the pool and all that good stuff while we cooked on the grill. So I hope you guys had a great, great weekend. And I hope everything that you wanted to do or needed to do that you were able to do it this week. All right. Well, this week I wanted to talk about something kind of important, something that I see every day, and something that we don't really pay attention to until we're kind of wrapped up in it. Okay. So I chose our topic for this week to be breaking the cycle of female rivalry, mm-hmm, getting along with other women. Okay. And again, that's breaking the cycle of female rivalry and it's getting along with other women. Because as women, we sometimes we have such a hard time getting along with other women. We have a thing where we say we get along better with men because women are either too envious or they got a bunch of stuff going on with them, and so as women, we tend to stick more to our male counterparts. And then it's kind of vice versa with men. Men kind of stick more to female counterparts because these are people that they feel like they can relate to. Okay. So, what I want to ask you first of all is what does rivalry look like? What is it? Because some people may not know what it is. Okay. Rivalry between women is a real behavioral issue. Okay. It has lifelong lasting impacts. And rivalry and competition are common traits of indirect aggression and passive aggressive behaviors by women. Okay. This is an indication that women target their aggression towards each other rather than focus on the exact problem that they are dealing with at that time. So I thought that this would be a great topic, especially with this being the Queendom Nation show. And we do represent the Queendom in all things royal and loyal, especially when it comes to our women. So we want to talk about the competition and different things that women face, okay? So I just want to say this to you. So if you find yourself on the other side of the spectrum, being jealous or intimidated by women who deliberately or unconsciously flaunt their body, their marriage, their children, or their life in general, right? Then your attitudes towards them will always be tainted by this fact. Okay. From early childhood, especially as females, we are conditioned to learn that the art of pretentiousness when interacting with our female counterparts, which begs this question: can women really be friends with one another? Can we? I think that we can. I have a best friend that I've had for 30 years. Now, while we may disagree sometimes, we have never had an argument. You know, um, she allows me to be me. I allow her to be her, and we respect each other in our spaces because we understand who each other are. Okay. So, this is the thing. When we talk about the sugarcoating, you know how it is when you get around certain women and they act like they like you, but they really don't, and they kind of sugarcoat it as they're having a conversation with you. So let's talk about the sugarcoating. Let's talk about the manipulation, the judgmental looks, the repressed emotions, the fake smiles, the holier than thou attitudes, the backhanded compliments, the gossiping, exactly the kind of behavior that I'm talking about, right? Us women, we go through it every day in some form or fashion. I'm going to be the first to admit that, sometimes, despite my best efforts, I find myself being a victim of this as well. Um, But the widespread acceptance of what can only be described as distinguishedly distorted idea of a female relationship is disturbing, because society tells us as women that we can't get along, and that each woman that we see, we need to perceive them as our rivalry. That's not right. So I want to encourage women, myself included, to just kind of analyze our hearts, okay? To kind of dig through our repressed emotions and fully deal with our own insecurities, so that the next woman does not intimidate you or make you feel less than a woman yourself, or you don't feel like you have to be in competition with her, if that makes any sense. Let's vow to be more honest with ourselves, women, and let's be more open and genuine with other people. Honesty is the only way to break the vicious cycle of jealousy and comparison. Okay, so this is telling us that we just have to kind of stop spending our lives comparing our lives to other women's lives, so that way we don't look at them as a rivalry. Okay, each one of us have a life, and our life is led by what we put into our lives. Okay, when we are born, each one of our lives are mapped out a certain way. It's up to us to, which path that we follow. Okay. And so we don't want to take our life and base it off of the way somebody else is living, and how they're operating as a woman. Okay. Because those are the things that create that sugarcoat and the manipulation, the judgmental looks, the repressed emotions, the fake smiles, and all that. So when we become one with ourselves, and knowing who we are as a woman, we don't have a problem with the next woman and what she may bring to the table or what she represents. Okay? So, our power as women is in our ability to love and to connect with one another. And if we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and honest, we are bound to find supportive and healthy female friendships, right? Mm-hmm. So, we have to understand that a lot of times it's not, we blame the other person for our own insecurities instead of looking at who we are as a person. Okay, and so we tend to get very upset with other women in their position, because in our eyes they are not what they're supposed to be, and that's not for us to make that type of judgment. Each one of us are who we want to be and who we set out to be. Okay, so confrontation is hard, but unless you meet those unresolved feelings or hurt straight on, you will soon be left with no friends at all. Okay? Tension, if it's not dealt with properly, it has a way of unraveling the strongest of relationships and friendships. Okay? So let's say you have a best friend or a friend, female friend, and it's something that you feel like, you need to say to them, say it to them. Confrontation is not always easy, and sometimes we get stuck not really wanting to say what's on our heart because we're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings. Okay, but we have to learn how to say what we want to say to people and do it positively and not really hurting people, because hurt people. Okay, that's why we have a lot of rivalries and a lot of tensions and a lot of things going on between people, because when you're hurting inside and you see somebody else happy, you think in your mind, why are they so happy? What are they doing? And as women, sometimes we do that. We can be very judgmental without even realizing that we do it. Okay? We're so quick to judge somebody else, for what they're doing in their life without really taking a second look at who we are and what we're doing. Okay? So, on a similar note, the old age, on a similar note, nothing brings two people together like a mutual hatred for somebody else. Y'all know how it is. You find those people, they be like, I don't like this girl, I don't like this female. So what they do is those birds of a feather flock together, and they get together, and misery loves company. And so what they do is they get together and they talk about people unnecessarily when they don't really have to. Okay? So sometimes so-called friendships are built entirely on the fact that two women hate a third woman. I don't know why we do that as women, but that's how we do sometimes. So this is the thing I want to say. I want you to analyze the female friendships in your life. Okay. Why are you friends with that person? What is it that you have in common with her? If the only thing that you bond over is your dislike of another woman, it might be time for you to find new friends. Because society spends enough time beating us down as human beings, as individuals, especially as women. We should not be doing that to one another. And if you have somebody that you call your friend that is helping you to beat down another woman, then what kind of friend is that to you? Because as women, we're supposed to be building each other up. We're supposed to be lifting each other up. In the queendom, that is one thing that we try our best and strive our best to do. That is the purpose of this platform, is to uplift, empower, motivate, and encourage women. Okay? I'm no better than any of you guys or any of my listeners on here, you know? And so I have no right to sit and talk about another woman and bash her for whatever she's done in her life. And it's vice versa. And a woman has the right to do that to me, you know? So I really want us to understand what it means to have those healthy boundaries with women, with friendships, okay? Understand who your friend is as they're being your friend and what they're bringing to your friendship. um, don't sacrifice your peace, by trying to point out somebody's true colors, okay? Lack of character always reveals itself in due time, y'all. You can hang around somebody, for years, and then all of a sudden, this person starts emerging, and you're like, who are you? Where you been? I've been knowing you for 20 years, and I've never known you to act like this, you know? So besides the people who hurt you, typically, they do it in an attempt to heal themselves. See, that's why a lot of people talk about people, because something is going on inside of them that is not fixed. And so what they do is they take their hurt and the things that they're feeling out on somebody else, which is not right, guys. We shouldn't do that to other women. We shouldn't bash other people or other women to make ourselves feel good about the hurt that we've been through. How fair is that to your fellow woman or to your fellow friends or to your fellow neighbor? Because you wouldn't want nobody doing that to you. But yet, as human beings, we constantly do that to other people, especially women. Okay? And yes, I'm going to call you out on it, okay? Besides the people that hurt you in an attempt to heal themselves, when you become aware of it, a lot of times your desire is to do what? Is to put them in their place, right? And hope that it disappears altogether. But sometimes that's not the way it works. Women, let me let you know this. There's always going to be somebody prettier than you, better dressed than you, probably thinner than you, wealthier than you, more successful than you. And it's natural to feel intimidated, right? But if you can't sort through your own insecurities and learn to deal with this fact in a healthy way, in a positive manner, you are always going to be miserable. Okay? And it doesn't matter what people say to you or what they do to you, you're always going to be miserable with yourself because you have not dealt with what's wrong inside you. And so you see the wrong in everybody else. Okay? That's why healing is such a big thing now, health and wellness, because we have to heal ourselves on the inside so that we're not taking our frustrations and transgressions and different things out on other people, creating unnecessary rivalries. Okay. So I just want you guys to really understand that. Okay, if you have women in your life, that you interact with, and that they make you feel good about yourself in your own life, these are the people that you need to be around. If you're around women that are constantly tearing themselves down, tearing other people down, talking about people, these are the type of people that you don't need to be around. Okay? Because they're always going to see something negative in somebody. You're going to see the negative, and it's just going to be that constant back and forth that's just unnecessary. Okay? And we as women, we are in a time where we need to really be building each other up, lifting each other up, encouraging each other, motivating each other. instead of tearing each other down. Okay, I want you guys to really understand how important that is. Okay, it's really bad, and it's really a common problem, and it needs to stop. Okay, go the extra mile to prove that you are more than a pretty face. Okay, that your life is not perfect as it seems, and that you need friends too. I'm Queen Charielle. One thing about me, I have great friends, that I can go to for anything, you know. And one thing we don't do is we don't sit around spending our time talking about people because it's pointless. What we sit around and talk about is we talk about our future. We talk about things that we want to do in our lives, places we want to go, things that we want to teach our children, things that we want to pass on to other people's children, because when you sit around and all you're doing is creating rivalries with people, look what that does to your life. It makes your life just so miserable when you don't have to be. Okay? You can be happy as you want to be by just escorting that stuff out your life. Okay? Go the extra mile, guys, to prove that you are just more than a pretty face. Okay? Um, so these are things that I want you to think about as you're listening to this show tonight. What are your thoughts on genuine female friendships? Do they really exist in this day and age with social media, and all the different things that stereotype us women, as far as weight and how pretty you should be and what you should and should look like, Um, have you ever felt threatened or intimidated by another woman? Hmm. I think we all have at some point in our lifetime, you know. How did you deal with it? How did you deal with being intimidated by another woman? Are there women with whom you interact with only so that you can feel good about yourself? How many of us do that? How many of you women that's listening get around other women, you know, just so you could feel good about who you are as a woman? Hmm. Think about that. Do you secretly gain satisfaction from the jealousy of other women? That's a good question to ask. Because there are some very jealous women out here that are very jealous of other women that are succeeding and living their life and doing their own thing. And sometimes jealousy can play a big role, in how we look at other women, especially successful women, and especially if you're in a place where you're trying to get where you need to go and you're having troubles and you're having struggles getting there, and do you look at other women and get jealous about their success instead of understanding that we all have our own path to travel, we have our own lives to lead, and I can't live your life, you can't live my life, because what's for me is for me, what's for you is for you. Okay, so we have to understand that that everything everybody is doing in their lives is who they are as an individual. Okay, and we women need to do better about not always seeing other women as competition, but seeing them as our sisters, seeing them as camaraderies, seeing them as partners in business, seeing them as, friendships, those types of things when we're dealing with other women. Okay. One thing I've learned through research, especially when it comes to this type of topic, is that women invite and they value healthy competition, fighting fairly for a job, a project, or a promotion, okay? But a big driver of female rivalry is the concept of one seat at the table. So the precept of one seat at the table comes from a belief that diversity is mandated but not useful. Hmm. When women adapt to the scarcity mindset, right, and they fight amongst themselves, it holds all women back. Okay. If a woman wants to get ahead in life, the better course is to champion with women around her. Resulting, because when we do this, ladies, when we champion with other women, what happens is it creates more opportunities and increased success for each one of us. Because now we're not in competition with one another, we're supporting one another. And when women advocate and support one another, great things happen around the entire border. Okay? Please understand what I mean when we say these things, because we really have to get out of being rivals with our fellow sister queens and start learning how to collaborate and everybody eat off the table. Okay, because believe me, it can be done. But women unconsciously absorb beliefs about their rightful place, you know what I'm saying? And those messages show up in how women judge one another. This type of mind frame, ladies, can lead to mistreatment. You underestimate a woman and you distance yourself from other women in order to increase the power amongst yourselves. We have to really stop doing that to each other, okay? We have to stop judging one another. We have to stop mistreating one another. We have to stop underestimating one another. Because the thing about women that is so powerful, when we stop going against the grain and start working with one another, the things that we come up with are just so amazing. Nothing against our male counterparts. Not speaking wrong about them. But what I'm saying is, us women, we have a different type of a dynamic that we bring to the table whenever we get together and we become sisters and queens instead of rivalries. Okay? Uncover your own hidden biases by asking yourself these simple questions, ladies. Do you judge other women for choices that you wouldn't personally make? Hmm? Do you? Do you criticize women for minor transgressions and forgive men for major ones? Do you make excuses for other people's behavior just the way it is? Do you compete more than you collaborate with your female colleagues? I bet these are some things that you women haven't even really thought about. Okay? So I want you guys to kind of think about, some of these questions, especially when you're making female friends, when you're in business with other women, when you're in just another vicinity of another woman. Think about these things. So what actions can we take to break the cycle of female rivalry? I'm going to give you just a few, okay? One thing that we can do to break through these barriers of this rivalry amongst women is we can help women through mentorship, advocacy, and creating opportunities, okay? You can redefine how women interact at work by providing room for so many, okay? Share information. Help other women succeed just like you succeed. Information is not fun if it is not shared. That's why I'm doing the QueendomNation show. Because I feel like with this platform, I can help other women. I can encourage other women, okay? I can provide mentorship and advocacy to other women through the QueendomNation show, okay? So understand and stop looking at each other as your rivalry. Stop looking at them as your competition and look at other women as your sisters, okay? Everybody ain't gonna be your sister, so we can't look at everybody like that, but do the best that we can to lift up our sisters, okay? Amplify other women. Reinforce their ideas and suggestions and increase their chances of being heard. Give women credit for their ideas, for their contributions, and for their accomplishments. This takes me back to when you look at women like Coretta Scott King, Merle Evers, and Malcolm X's wife, Betty Shabazz. These women were on 3 different platforms and they men represented 3 different things. When it came time to sustain a beautiful, beautiful friendship, those 3 women stuck together, okay? And they made sure that as women that they showed that they were united, especially for their husbands, that they were united for women of their genre, and that they were united for all the women of the world, to show the women of the world what it was like to have your husbands be on this side of the fence, but what it's like to have women band together and come together and help spur a movement of civil rights. Okay? Understand that. Think about that. Make sure that we publicly praise women that are doing well and that we are not tearing them down just because they're doing well. Okay? Some women are doing well because they put themselves in that position to do that. Okay? And it's not up to us to tear them down just because they're doing great for themselves. That's not right. Okay? Uplift the other woman, because that woman could probably be the person that can help you get where you need to go if you're struggling in your life. The same person that you're tearing down. Okay? If you have skills or knowledge that is in high demand, host like a brown bag lunch. Invite other women to join you. Start a book group. Just find ways to create informal friendships with women. Okay? Join forces with other women and ask them to help you collectively. Working together, women, ladies, queens, this is a proven way to influence leadership and affect change. Okay? We can't expect change if we're not being people of change. All right? Do not talk badly about other women, gossip, or throw them under the bus, guys. If you have constructive feedback for a woman, share it with her directly and do it respectfully. Talk to her, not about her. Can I say that again? Do not talk badly about other women, gossip, or throw them under the bus. If you have constructive feedback for another woman, share it with them directly and respectfully. Talk to her, not about her. Okay? If you overhear anything about a women that you feel like is not right, either stand in and correct it or walk off and don't make yourself a part of that. Okay? Too many women are tearing too many women down unnecessarily when we should be building each other up. Okay? Stop judging women. Okay? That means stop judging yourself as a woman, because we can't say that that we're not judging women and we're judging ourselves, because if you're judging yourself, you're judging a woman. Stop judging yourselves, okay? Assume the best intentions for yourself. And if other people's behavior doesn't make sense to you, don't even worry about it. People are who they are, and we can't make people be who we want them to be, okay? People are going to be who they are. Learn from other women that have done things a lot longer than you. Let me tell you one thing about Queen Charielle. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I am one woman that is not afraid to go to the next woman and ask questions, especially about things that I feel like are successful and better and beneficial for my future. Don't be afraid to go to somebody that is doing the same thing that you're doing, but doing it on a bigger platform. Because what you want to know is, first of all, how did they get to that platform? And now, how can you get to that platform? If you're busy tearing them down, you will never, never, never understand how to get to that platform that they're on. Okay? These are such great things that I want you to understand, and why it is so important for us women to collaborate with one another instead of looking at each other as rivalries, okay? As painful as a female rivalry is, it represents only a fraction of our relationships. Okay, the key is to learning and recognizing those relationships and making them healthy relationships. Okay, so thank you for tuning into the Queendom Nation show today, where all things are royal and loyal. And our topic today was breaking the cycle of female rivalry and getting along with other women. I hope I said something to encourage you today that can make you go out here and look at your fellow sister as a sister and as a queen, and not as your rivalry. Okay, we have to uplift, encourage, and support one another as women. And in the Queendom, that's what we're going to do here. So let me give you our Queendom quote of the day before we go. Our Queendom quote of the day is, you may only be someone in the world, but to someone else, you may be the world. Again, you may only be someone in the world, but to someone else, you may be the world. Check me out on SherryLDye.com. You can order your books from me, Women in Entrepreneurship, How Do We Beat the Odds, on there, and anything else that you want to see about the Queendom, please go on there and check us out. I want you to have a great week. Enjoy life. Get out. Get some fresh air. Get some exercise. And stop, queens, looking at our sisters like our rivalries. Look at them as your sisters. Stay motivated. Stay blessed. Have a great week.